Hi, this is Benoy, your host of the Solar Maverick Podcast. Are you a solar developer that is ready to make a real difference? Then you need to hear about the Department of Energy's American-made Community Power Accelerator Prize. That's right, we're talking 25 teams will get up to $400,000 each in cash awards to help develop community-benefiting solar projects. Think community solar projects, resilient microgrids, behind-the-meter VPPs, and even multi-family commercial industrial projects that empower neighborhoods. Round 3 of this competition is open to new and expanding solar developers and community organizations that have a portfolio of 2 or more distributed solar projects that meet the prize criteria. This is your chance. But hurry, the deadline's December 17th. Reach out to Jade Garrett with Positive Deviancy, a power connector for the American-made challenges, to get free support to apply. We'll have more about this on the notes of the podcast. You could also email Jade. Her email is jade, Jade, at positivedeviancy.com. positivedeviancy.com, and that's her website as well, www.positivedeviancy.com, positivedeviancy.com. Thank you. Hi, this is Benoy, your host of the Solar Maverick Podcast. I wanted to invite you to an event that we're having on Wednesday, December 4th from 6 to 10 p.m. at Hudson Hall in Jersey City, New Jersey. It's our winter solstice fundraiser. Join Reneu Energy, Positive Deviancy, and the Solar Maverick Podcast. We will be also raising funds for the Let's Share the Sun Foundation, which we've had twice on the Solar Maverick Podcast, which aids improvised communities in harnessing solar energy. If you're interested in sponsoring the event, please feel free to reach out to us at info@reneuenergy.com. That's info@reneuenergy.com. If you want more information on this event, we'll have it on the notes of the podcast, and I hope to see you there. Thanks for listening.
That's what the X1 is going to be. That's going to be more of like your whole home backup. So that's going to be a modular battery system. You can scale as low as a 5 kilowatt hour system. And if you really want to get crazy, you can get as big as 180 kilowatt hours of storage. Batteries aren't new to us. And that's going to be a huge leg up to us with all the other new brands that are coming in. Like, we've been making batteries for a long time. We know what we're doing.
Hello and welcome to the Solar Maverick Podcast, where solar meets entrepreneurship and experience. I'm your host, Benoy Thanjan, so let's get into it.
Hi, this is Benoy, your host of the Solar Maverick Podcast. I'm excited to have David Taylor from Anker and Andrew Aldama from Anker as well. Thank you, my good friend Adam Weissman, who's in marketing for Anker, for setting this up. And I'm excited to learn about what you're doing. Like, I'm very familiar with your product from using it on Amazon, more for my personal use, but it's really interesting how you've come up with all these different product lines and specifically product lines for the home. So welcome to the podcast. I think would be great to start is if you could tell us about Anker if our audience is not familiar with your product.
Yeah. So a little bit of background to Anker is been off doing mobile charging. We grew to the number 1 mobile charging brand in the world. So that's kind of our calling card. But since then, we've grown into a few different brands. So we have other lines like Eufy, which is our security line, Nebula, which is kind of like a portable projector, Soundcore, which is earbuds and speakers. We're going everywhere. So Anker Solix is kind of that next brand. So yeah, that's the major battery line for the portable power station, but we're also getting into the home energy system as well.
And it was amazing, honestly, when I was introduced to their product line at RE Plus, and I appreciate Anker team and Adam like showing the different products. And I think it's pretty innovative, and I'm excited to learn more, and I'm sure our audiences as well. And you talk about the history, like when the company started, then going into more details on like the different products within Solix.
Like I said, Anker Solix is kind of our first step into the major battery line, but batteries aren't new to us. We started off doing the mobile charging. Sure, we've been doing this for a decade and change. We've only been getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So after mobile charging came, we had the portable power station. We started off real small, and then we've grown bigger and bigger and bigger. So where the next major one coming out is a 3.8 kilowatt hour storage. For a portable power station, that's huge. So we're going to have that. It is going to have an expansion battery that can do another 3.8 kilowatt hour system. So you're basically having this little mini power wall on wheels.
Which is amazing. And if you've seen the technology, it's like impressive in the way it looks. And it's really movable as well, which is a huge thing. What, your Tesla Powerwall is, you're putting in the garage and the installer is basically putting it up there. That's really great to know. And I think you were saying in the pre-interview that the first quarter of this year is probably the time.
Yeah. And speaking of Powerwall, so that's what the X1 is going to be. That's going to be more of like your whole home backup. So that's going to be a modular battery system. You can scale as low as a 5 kilowatt hour system. And if you really want to get crazy, you can get as big as 180 kilowatt hours of storage.
Oh, wow. That's crazy in the storage device. If you think about that, like, I think it would be helpful if you could explain to the audience, like, what's like 5 kilowatt to keep your refrigerator charged, dishwashing system. 180 kilowatts is like a different.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard question because I don't want someone to be like, well, he said you could do this, well, he does amount and all that. But generally speaking, when you have around the 10 kilowatt hour mark, I mean, that's going to keep all your basics on.
Yeah.
You can watch your TV, that's going to keep your lights on, stuff like that.
For sure.
If you want to do bigger things like your air conditioning, any heating element, you're going to need to get to like the 2030 mark. And you're also going to have to probably expand the power modules as well. So inside each power module, which is kind of like the header on our battery stack, is the inverter. So it's not going to be an external inverter.
Yeah, that's right. Simple in, right?
Exactly. Keep it simple. So each inverter can do a constant in and out of 6 kW with a peak at 12 for 10 seconds. And then there's 2 slots for power modules in our backup controller. So you can double your input and output. So if you need to do like a big AC unit, that's where that's going to come into play.
Oh, that's really interesting. And I appreciate you explaining, David. And obviously, every home varies and the amount of energy, like a kitchen or your essentials or necessities are different. So it's actually exactly that.
Before Anker, I worked for an installer. And that was like the number one question was like, what can I do with this battery? Can I do this, this, and this? And the answer is like, maybe. I don't want to give you confirmed yes or no until we have like our master electrician come out and actually like measure everything. So it can power in one person's home, doesn't directly translate to what it can power in your neighbor's home.
Oh, okay. Is your technology primary lithium ion? Do you do other battery technologies as primary?
So as far as the X1 goes, we are going to be LFP.
Oh, LFP, sorry.
Yes.
That's really helpful to know. And then as far as selling it, do people reach out to Anker directly, or they're distributors, or you're working with different solar companies?
Yeah, so we're still working all that out. We're going to be launching sometime in Q1. What's most likely going to happen is we're going to be working mainly through distributors and installers. This is kind of a hard thing that you can just sell directly to a consumer. Sure. Your average homeowner is not going to know how to wire this up. They're not going to know how to go through permits, HOA, utility. This isn't something that you can just kind of do on your own.
Yeah.
So you need that professional assistance. We will have some sort of portal through our website, but for the most part, it's going to be going through other installers and distributors. And we'll have a list on our website as well once we get closer to the finish line of trusted partners that we have. So this isn't going to be some surprise to the homeowner who's coming out to work on your house.
For sure. And is the distribution primarily focused on certain states or all of the U.S.?
So at launch, we're mainly looking at Texas and California. If you live somewhere else, you're not excluded. So we're going to go wherever the demand is.
For sure.
But main launching is Texas, California, a little bit of Florida. Then we're going to fill in the states between California and Texas. We're going to be going to Colorado. In February, we're going to be at RE Plus in Boston. We're going to be nationwide. So if you don't live in Texas and California, you're not excluded from the party. You have an invite. So don't worry about that.
That's really helpful to explain, David. And I know we talked about this in pre-interview. You're already kind of talking about this already, but like the home energy solution, the integration of your different technologies to basically work together.
Yeah. So Andrew, I'm hogging.
And fist bump to
I don't know, as well have to introduce, you're welcome to chime in if you want.
yeah. So the whole part of the ecosystem, right? It entails the all-in-one package, which includes the battery storage. It includes our EV charging. It includes a solar microinverter, and it includes generator integration. So
That's pretty impressive. And I know we had this conversation. It could tie in to solar panels. It would be separately that they would have at this point.
So if you're talking about solar integration, so we do have our own micro, but you can install any other third-party solar inverters as long as it's AC coupled coming into our controller.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's really helpful to explain. And can you talk about too, like about the more portable systems, the camping?
Yeah, sure.
Very impressed with the cooler.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the fan favorite at every show. The cooler.
And what's in the cooler?
What's in the cooler? Yeah. Do you want to talk about?
Sure. We started the portable power station back in 2015. We were the first company to make one. Once we integrated Solix into it, we put all of these products, as David said, we put all of these products under the Solix line. So we have our portable power stations. We have 2 lines under the portable power station lines. We have the C series, which stands for camping. It's under 1,000 watt hours. And we have the F series, which is flex series, that are over 1,000 watt hours. And they're really meant to be both able to be tied into a home or used at home and powering bigger appliances, whether it's a fridge or a freezer or these other kind of things. Even if it's a short period, but they can be used as you get up in our line. I know David was talking about the F3800.
Sure.
That's our biggest, obviously, but we have ones that are 229 watt hours.
Yeah.
So really meant to be in our camping series, really meant to be like you want to power a laptop or drone batteries or something, just recharge, a tablet a few times, right? You'll charge your phone a whole bunch of times, but even our smallest portable power station under that C line can still charge certain things. As we get up into the bigger ones like the F3800, you can go from a 3.8 kilowatt system to a 53.9 kilowatt hour system. You can plug in an EV and directly charge an EV. You'll get about 3 to 4 miles per kilowatt hour.
Okay.
So just the 3800 alone, without any extra batteries, you'll get about 10 to 12 miles.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. About like a year ago, I went out to like a off-grid competition that we sponsored. And it was basically like fam life, bus life, and stuff like that. Sure. And the whole goal of the competition was who can build like the best mobile home basically out of a bus.
Yeah.
And so we had some of like the mid-range PPSs laying around, and the crew loved it. They were running like table saws. They were welding with them. They're running all the drills with it. Because what was happening was each team was fighting over extension cords. And then basically they found out, hey, I can take this corded tool and turn it into a cordless tool. The stuff that you can power with these portable power stations is crazy.
And we actually did a sponsorship with Electrify Expo. If you're on the EV side, Electrify, it's a really great organization. It's a really great company. They do in about 7 or I think 8 different locations around the country. They do events and you can go sit in and they have these test tracks. So you can sit in and ride along on a Tesla, a Polestar, this one, that one, all these different cars. Then they have different types of EVs, from scooters to bikes to the one in Miami had surfboards, battery-powered electric surfboards because they were right in Miami.
Yeah.
So we actually sponsored the expo. It was a sponsorship in kind, and we gave them a whole bunch of our F2000, the rolling, just under about half the size of the S3800. It's a 2,000 watt hour battery. We gave them a whole bunch of those and some other ones, and they were powering the festival, like legitimately powering the festival. So everywhere there was a portable speaker, everywhere there was a portable blow up thing that had signage on it.
Yeah.
They were all being powered by these.
That's cool.
It was really cool to see. It was really cool to see how it worked and and the funny thing is at every single venue, the people that assembled the venue would come up to us and say like, thank you so much for doing this, because now we don't have to run all this cabling, like these miles and miles of really heavy, thick cabling to get even just to power the tablets that were, for waivers and things. So
yeah, that's amazing. And giving a practical example.
It was great. Check out Electrify Expo if you're interested in EV. If they're coming to New York, I think San Francisco and Austin. They finished in Austin. They were in Miami. They were in Washington. So
I was actually at the one, I think the New York one's the Jacob Javits Center.
This past year, it was way out in like Long Island.
Oh, Long Island. Interesting. Probably confusing it for another EV. Yeah. event that they had.
It's a really consumer event. It's just families come and they walk around and they look at all the cars and they have a design competition for things. It's really neat. Really nice organization.
Yeah, that is really neat. And I appreciate this is Adam Weissman, who's the senior public relations manager at Anker. I apologize. Like I said, marketing before hard marketer. I'll go up to green jacket, gold jacket. He's seriously a small entrepreneurial company with grown substantially. No one has defined roles, I'm sure. What's amazing too is like the product line and how many different products that you're involved in. I could tell you, I just recently myself bought the Anker headphones. No, because I saw on TikTok them talking about how great it was compared to the Bose or Beats, and then there was a huge like sale on Amazon. Yeah. So it was interesting to me because I haven't tested it out. I have actually in the box, but I was anticipating our interview, and that's cool. It was really cool to see like how diverse your product line is.
Yeah. You have 7 brands, man. We can pretty much cover it all.
That's actually been a really fun thing about doing all these trade shows, though. The amount of people that come up to you, like, you guys are the people that make like the iPhone chargers, right? Yeah. Now we got a big boy battery.
And I know you went to the CES show recently. Was there any like interesting feedback that you got about your product?
Oh yeah, of course. Like we had a lot of good feedback from other consumers at CES, right? Everyone wanted to ask questions about it, when it was going to be released, what the price was, so we did get a lot of attraction for the X1 for sure. It did get a lot of attraction.
That's great to hear. I mean, I was impressed with it when I saw it at RE Plus. One thing that I noticed, so RE Plus is the biggest solar conference. So it's back in September, and then now we're at Intersolar in San Diego, was how many home storage companies are out there and displaying their product. Like, how do you think like Anker differentiates from, I feel like there's so much competition.
Yeah, of course. But Anker does have a one-up on everyone, right? Because, we have about 140 million users worldwide. We have a lot of consumers already interested in the brand. They already know what the quality of products that Anker releases. And of course, everyone knows it's not the most expensive, but it's a fair price for a very high quality product. So one good thing about Anker is 50% of their employees is research and development. So they're constantly innovating the market. So if we put that much effort into that, then, if we include the same amount of effort that we did in the other products, we're going to do the same because Anker wants to keep their brand up there.
It's amazing the brand recognition of Anker. I actually learned about Anker a few years ago. I went to the Apple store to buy a battery, and the person working at sales like, well, if you want something as good and a lot cheaper,
less expensive, so because it's not the cheapest. It's not the cheapest,
She was saying like you want a high quality product and not paying the high premium here and great quality. Exactly. She's like, oh, you should just go on Amazon, $0 Anker. Then after that, and once I found, well, it's funny because Adam reached out to me because he knows I have the podcast in solar. And then he was working at Anker. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is such a small world.
I think I've talked to a bunch of different colleagues and they all knew Anker before they started at Anker. I live in Florida. We had a hurricane coming and I said, 6 years ago. And I said, I need a battery. And this was before I knew about the portable power stations. But, I actually bought 2 of our biggest at the time. Now it's our biggest, but at the time it was Anker's biggest plain safe 26.8 milliamp hour batteries. I had 2 of them so that I could, plug in my phone or power a speaker or whatever. And we've come so far from them. But people tell me like, oh yeah, I use your flashlights. I use your this. I use your cables, all these different things. So it's really great to see where we come from and where we're going to. So for sure, it's exciting.
Yeah. And the X1's kind of our first foray into the HES market, but batteries aren't new to us. And that's going to be a huge leg up to us with all the other new brands that are coming into it. Like we've been making batteries for a long time. We know what we're doing. It's huge, especially.
And even the other thing is our customers know that we support our products too. So if something happens, they can reach out to us by email or social or whatever, and we'll try to take care of them as best we can and get them a new product. And I don't know if you want to talk about the modularity of is that a word?
Yeah, so the good thing about having the modular system and the way we kind of differ from other modular systems is each module is 5 kilowatt hours of storage, but they operate independently. So what that means is with other systems, if one is damaged or old, let's say it can only go up to like 80%. Sure, it's going to drag the other modules down too. Yeah, it's called the barrel effect. With ours, that doesn't happen. So yeah, maybe one of them's kind of damaged or old and so we're going 80%, but everything else is still charging to 100. So that's one good thing right there. Let's say one is broken or damaged, it's going to automatically isolate from the system. If that happens with other people, that shuts the whole system down. For us, that one module is out of commission, but everything else is going to keep trucking. You're going to be able to keep operating until you get that fixed. Another good thing from the consumer side is when you're purchasing the battery. Let's say you're in a situation where you really need like 20 kilowatt hours of storage, but you only have the money that you're comfortable to spend for 10. That's fine. Just buy the 10 now, and when you're comfortable spending the rest for the rest of the system, we can come in later and basically just like Legos stack these things up. Sure. Get you up to the system that you need.
Interesting. And then I'm sure like software is a major part of it. And then especially in California, like it being intelligent and then dispatching at certain times. And I'm sure is a big component too.
Yeah, we're going to support time of use and we're going to support NEM3.
Oh, that's great. Obviously, everyone's talking about NEM3. And if people are not familiar, California is requiring to have a storage component going forward with NEM3. So that's pretty exciting. And I also wanted to talk about too, like Adam and I met playing kickball in Hoboken 12 to 13 years ago, maybe in that time frame. Yeah, that time frame. And it's amazing. Like you never know when you're going to make a connection. And then so many years have passed and it's exciting to see that you're at Anker and doing amazing things. So
Awesome.
yeah, you never know. Like,
Yeah.
follow your passions. Yeah. We were both passionate about handball and drinking. That's also, you never know where you could meet.
It's not an endorsement to drink while playing
For sure. It's awesome. I mean, to be fair, can you play kickball without doing that though?
To be fair, no. Yeah. And then, I mean, is there anything we should know about Anker that I haven't asked you, or you think our audience, who we call Mavericks because the podcast is called Solar Maverick Podcast, should know about?
Well, I mean, one cool feature that this battery has is that it has a heating technology that we've embedded into the batteries, right? So what this does is it, in temperatures from 32 Fahrenheit to -4, with the heating technology, it allows the battery to charge at 100% of its capacity of its power, right? So it won't derate the charging rate when it's that temperature.
That's huge.
And we also have good cooling system as well. So we can charge to 100% of power when it's 131 degrees Fahrenheit. So you won't have any duration in those temperatures.
Oh, that's pretty amazing technology. That's the first time I've really heard of something like that. I don't know if that's unique.
It's really unique, and we've tested other competitors, and we notice the duration when you test in the cold temperature.
Sure. Yeah, and that's huge, especially, you know, in the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, not the Midwest. Obviously, just a question, is this, I know you're talking about the U.S., but is this product also offered internationally, or?
It will in the future, but right now we're focused on the U.S. market. You know,
We do have another system that's for the German market, which is a balcony system. So it's a balcony battery. There was a bunch of, I don't know all the technical things, but there was a deregulation because of the power grid. So, and their power grid works a little bit different than ours, that you can actually direct plug in to back into any outlet and feed power back into the grid.
Oh, interesting.
So, you know, we have these systems that they're weather resistant. They're meant to sit on your balcony. You could put a small solar panel on a balcony, you know, whatever, clamp it to a balcony.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you have backup storage. And if you need it, you can feed that back into the grid and their grid will accept it just natively.
Yeah, and I also have another feature for the X1. There, we have a display. If you notice, we have a display on the X1.
Okay.
So if you notice, our competitors do not have a display, right? So one thing that is an issue for a lot of our competitors is when the system goes off grid, and for some reason there is no Wi-Fi, there's no cell connection, there's no way of communicating with the storage system, right? You don't know what percentage you're at, you don't know what it's doing, you don't know anything. So with our system, it's motion activated. So as soon as you walk up to it, the screen will turn on and give you information about the system. So it would give you the percentage, it would give you the estimated time that you have left for the battery, right? So at least you know what's going on. If you have to be more conservative about your loads and stuff like that. So I think that's a great feature for the consumers.
Yeah, that's a great feature. I appreciate you letting our audience know, because I think that's really a differentiator. And again, it's supposed to be released sometime.
Yeah, in the first quarter. So we're looking at maybe at the end of Q1.
And we're probably going to have the podcast actually go out around the same time. We'll have a link to the Anker website, but also to your product as well.
Do you want to talk about the stackability of it, that you can go up, how it fits into?
Yeah, sure. So another good thing too is what the industry is running into is being able is space, right? So a lot of homeowners, especially older homes, right? In California, Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, very old homes. There's not a lot of space on the wall to mount your products, right? And there's a lot of requirements from fire departments and cities that some will allow you to mount everything in one space. Some will tell you, hey, you need to mount a battery or a device, and then you have to mount 3 feet from that, right? So this is what a lot of homeowners and a lot of installers kind of suffer on, right? Because they don't have the space to mount all of their batteries. So in one footprint that, let's say, a competitor of ours can install one battery, it's probably giving them anywhere from 10 kilowatt hours to 15 kilowatt hours, right? We can stack a lot more. We can stack more kilowatt hours. So this is beneficial for the homeowner. You'll be able to stack more energy in a smaller space.
That's huge. That's a huge competitive advantage, stacking in a smaller space, obviously. And everyone wants, as much as they can handle.
Yeah. I had an installer come up to me today and he said, the problem with installing large batteries is the weight. This installer said that he can't always install on time because he needs at least 3 to 4 people to lift the battery up, right? And because our system is very modular, 1 person or 2 for sure can handle this whole install. So, if you're on a steep hill and stuff like that, you don't have to worry about it because it's not light, but it's not super heavy where you need a squad of people to lift it. So this gives installers the flexibility to just send 2 installers out there and install the whole system themselves without having extra people.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge, but that's a big one. That's a lot of money in the air for sure. And the modularity, as you talked about. Well, this has been an amazing interview. If our audience, I know you talked about the website, what's the best way to learn about Anker?
So you can find more information about Anker and Anker Solix X1 on anker.com. That's ANKER.com.
Great. And we'll have it in the notes of the podcast. I appreciate you making time at the end of day 2 of Enter Solar. I know we're all tired, but it's been a great conference. And this has been a great interview. And I think our audience, who we call Mavericks, will find this really interesting. So I appreciate you making the time.
Yeah, of course. That's nice to meet you.
Anytime. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Solar Maverick Podcast. The Solar Maverick Podcast is brought to you by Reneu Energy. We're a solar development and consulting firm. If you believe that this podcast is adding value to you, please give us a 5-star review and share with those that you think could benefit from this information. Please email all questions, suggestions, and feedback to info@reneuenergy.com. That's info@reneuenergy.com. The Solar Maverick Podcast is produced by Podcast Laundry and executive produced by Benoy Thanjan and Kevin Y. Brown.